team, another convention is in the books. We're going to get to all of it, with the good, the bad, and the so very Trumpian of the Republican National Convention. I'm Katie Petrick, and this is Healthy Republic. Wait a minute. Is Donald J. Trump still president? Why, yes, he is. So that means the media's heads have collectively exploded on this day that ends in Y. And of course, the RNC convention added a bit more pizzazz to the extent of the mass crying, especially on the final night, when President Trump gave his pitch for why he should remain president for the next 4 years.
I profoundly accept this nomination for President of the United States.
I want to hear from you. What was the best moment of the convention? Let me know in the comments below. Now, before we get to all that is Trump, and there is plenty, let's look at some highlights from the past few nights, including the very personal moments from some of those who support President Trump and who simply do not want to see the country burn. We're going to start with the most gut-wrenching testimony from Ann Dorn, the widow of retired St. Louis police captain Dave Dorn, who was senselessly killed during the looting and riots in the city in June.
As I slept, looters were ransacking the shop. They shot and killed David in cold blood, and then live streamed his execution and his last moments on earth. David's grandson was watching the video on Facebook in real time, not realizing he was watching his own grandfather dying on the sidewalk.
And there was testimony from Carl and Marcia Mueller, parents of Kayla Mueller, who was taken hostage by ISIS. You may remember her name was given to the operation that resulted in the killing of Iraqi terrorist and ISIL leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi.
Kayla was born a miracle. We were told we would never have a second child. But God gave us Kayla, and she gave herself to the world. 8 months into Kayla's captivity, another hostage was able to smuggle out a letter Kayla had written. As we read it, we could see that God was holding her in his arms. In her words, she felt tenderly cradled in free fall. She also wrote, "I have been shown in darkness light and have learned that even in prison one can be free. I am grateful. I have had many hours to think how only in your absence have I finally, at 25 years old, come to realize your place in my life. None of us could have known it would be this long, but no, I am also fighting for my side in the ways I am able, and I have a lot of fight left inside of me. I am not breaking down, and I will not give in, no matter how long it takes."
On night 3, Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany spoke about her family's history with breast cancer and a preventative mastectomy she had, along with the support she received from the president.
On May 1st, 2018, I followed in my mother's footsteps, choosing to get a preventative mastectomy. I was scared. The night before, I fought back tears as I prepared to lose a piece of myself forever. But the next day, with my mom, dad, husband, and Jesus Christ by my side, I underwent a mastectomy. I expected to have the support of my family, but I had more support than I knew. As I came out of anesthesia, one of the first calls I received was from Ivanka Trump. As I recovered, my phone rang again. It was President Trump calling to check on me. I was blown away. Here was the leader of the free world caring about my circumstance.
But with the good, the caring, and the honest, then comes the media to ruin it all. At one point on night 3, the New York Times reported that the 3 cable networks had stopped airing the convention and went to their own commentary. I get it. CNN has been so busy with blatantly lying about the hellscape that is Kenosha, Wisconsin right now. They had to get their tingles by hearing their own voices instead of watching anybody but themselves in the camera. Cue Wolf Blitzer. As you can see, someone at CNN probably got fired for telling the truth in this chyron when it said 8 p.m. curfew ordered after violent protests over police shooting of unarmed black man in Wisconsin. All you have to do is wait just 5 seconds, and poof, the violence disappears. And to add fuel to the flames, yes, pun intended, CNN now says it's just fiery, but mostly peaceful protests after police shooting.
what you are seeing now, these images came and come in stark contrast to what we saw over the course of the daytime hours in Kenosha and into the early evening, which were largely peaceful demonstrations in the face of law enforcement. It wasn't until night fell that things began to get a little bit more contentious. Things were thrown.
Please disperse! Nothing to see here, please!
I had to use it again. Leslie Nielsen should be hired as a reporter for any and all networks. They certainly don't care about trying to cover their biases or blatant disregard for allowing American people to decide for themselves if they would like to support the Republicans. Here's a new chyron that can be used always, thereby eliminating the confusion. CNN is a garbage heap and defender of chaos, but otherwise a great news organization. But the media does fact checks, you know, even if they are loaded with bile. Like after South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem said this.
From Seattle and Portland to Washington and New York, Democrat-run cities across this country are being overrun by violent mobs. The violence is rampant. There's looting, chaos, destruction, and murder. People that can afford to flee have fled, but the people that can't, good, hardworking Americans, are left to fend for themselves.
MSNBC's Rachel Maddow in her crocodile tears. Please interject.
As we've said over the course of this coverage, we will interject when we feel like there's something that's important and deliberate and very wrong that should be corrected just so that we feel responsible about our broadcast.
Oh, this should be rich.
And to essentially run a reality check on that assertion is the mayor of the great city of Seattle, Jenny Durkin, who's joining us on short notice.
Seattle is it is a city that I raised my two children in, and I would not have raised them anywhere else.
Oh, you did? And did you take them to Chaz Chop, too, and let them sleep out on the streets and pick up all the drug needles and the feces spread everywhere? Didn't think so. And then the New York Times simply couldn't fathom what was happening for the 4 nights and found everything interesting. Just dumbfounding. Almost as astounding as when a White House correspondent from PBS named Yamiche Alcindor was so offended by Madison Cawthorn, a 25-year-old House candidate from North Carolina. Madison has been confined to a wheelchair since an accident when he was 18. He did this on the stage.
I say to Americans who love our country, young and old, be a radical for freedom. Be a radical for liberty. And be a radical for our republic, for which I stand, one nation under God, with liberty and justice for all.
The action of Cawthorn standing was so offensive that Alcindor took to Twitter. Madison Cawthorn made it a point to stand, suggesting that all Americans, too, should stand during the Pledge of Allegiance and National Anthem. It was a direct rebuke of actions by people, including black athletes who are currently sitting out games, protesting police brutality. Is your jaw on the floor as well? Let's remember, she works for PBS, Public Broadcasting Service. What kind of service are they doing for anyone? Since I won't give them my money, here's my tip for the service Alcindor just provided. Get a new job. And the New York Times had to complain again about social distancing and masks. It seems as if science reporter Catherine Wu was only invited to comment on that. As you can see, she can't stop, won't stop, and neither will her colleagues. This is the breaking news email they sent out after Trump's speech. Oh, the mostly maskless audience. But enough of the media. Let's get to all things Trumpian. Over the course of the 4 days, President Trump appeared sporadically, almost like your father does at the cool party you're trying to host, and he acts all casual like, "What's up, everybody?" Except it's highly unlikely that when your father enters the room, Hail to the Chief is being played. And then there was classic Trump riffing.
And thank everybody in that whole beautiful post office system. We appreciate it.
And I contracted COVID in late March and recovered.
That means we don't have to be afraid of you at all, right?
I'm good to
Once
go.
you're recovered, you know, we have the whole thing with plasma happening. That means your blood is very valuable. You know that, right? Then I turned to MSDNC, as I call it. MSDNC, which is truly, it is a branch of the Democrats. That's right. It's I wouldn't say fully owned corporation, but it's certainly a fully controlled, or they control them. Nobody really knows who's controlling who. How can the Democrat Party ask to lead our country when it spends so much time tearing down our country? From the moment I left my former life behind, and it was a good life, we took an already owned existing building in a better location. Real estate deal, right? Everybody gets a lawyer. Come on over to our country. Everybody has a lawyer. We have a lawyer for you. That's what we need is more lawyers. Now they're starting to mention it because their poll numbers are going down like a rock in water. The fact is, I'm here. What's the name of that building?
And you know there had to be specific Trumpisms dedicated to Joe Biden because, duh.
Joe Biden is weak. Joe Biden's agenda is made in China. My agenda is made in the USA. Wouldn't it be a kick in the ass if I lost and Sleepy Joe is president and this thing kicks in right about soon? For 47 years, Joe Biden took the donations of blue-collar workers, gave them hugs and even kisses.
While following the actual speech, Trump got in a few sound bites that Joe Biden probably wishes he could have come up with if he knew where he was or what he was doing.
Because we understand that America is not a land cloaked in darkness. America is the torch that enlightens the entire world. Democrat politicians refuse to protect innocent life, and then they lecture us about morality and saving America's soul. Tonight, we proudly declare that all children, born and unborn, have a God-given right to life. For America, there is a dream, and it is not beyond your reach. Together, we are unstoppable. Together, we are unbeatable. Because together, we are the proud citizens of the United States of America.
With the conventions now complete, we're just waiting with bated breath for any and all debates to commence. Otherwise, it's now on you to decide, do you want America to burn, or do you want hope for a better tomorrow? Until next time, stay healthy, America.